let's continue on with our next film, the 2004 romantic comedy 50 First Dates, starring Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. Yeah, I like it. Sue me. Oh, Adam Sandler. You know, his work during the 90s may have given him a free pass for life in my book, but when the new millennium rolled around, something went seriously wrong.
What does that mean?
In more recent years, I basically gave up on Sandler's movies because they were really becoming a chore to watch, even though he always seems to shine in the dramatic work he does on the side, which I'll get more into in a bit. Now, that's not to say I haven't enjoyed any of Sandler's films in the last 15 years or so, considering I find 50 First Dates to be easily one of his most enjoyable.
Hey, hit it!
Sandler plays Henry Roth, a Marine veterinarian who lives in Hawaii and spends his free time womanizing female tourists. But that all changes one morning when he walks into a beachside diner and first sees Lucy Whitmore, a local art teacher played by Drew Barrymore. After finally getting the courage to sit down and talk to her, they hit it off instantly and make plans to meet again the next morning for breakfast. But there's just one little snag. When Henry returns the next morning, Lucy looks at him like a complete stranger, not at all remembering yesterday's encounter. Sue, the diner owner, explains to Henry that last October 13th, Lucy hit her head in a serious car accident, leaving her with short-term memory loss, which causes her to wake up every morning believing it's still October 13th of last year, even though she still retains all of her life's previous memories leading up to that point. To protect Lucy from the daily agony of being reminded of her condition, her father and brother have been literally recreating the same day for her over and over again for almost a year now. But ever since Henry met her and began falling for her, he'll do whatever he can to keep himself in her memory.
It's gonna be all right, Luce.
Don't call me Luce. I barely know you.
Sweetie, you're sort of dating him.
But
Sorry, I'm not better looking.
What helps 50 First Dates stand out among Adam Sandler's more recent films is the obvious chemistry between him and Drew Barrymore, which carries over from their first successful pairing in 1998's The Wedding Singer, with Barrymore's engaging charm complementing Sandler's likable goofiness, and the memory loss element of 50 First Dates makes their dynamic much more interesting than your typical romantic comedy.
Hey! Okay, I know this is hard for you to understand right now, but we are actually seeing each other. We've been seeing each other for a while now. Oh, Lucy! If I wasn't telling the truth, how would I know this? That you're an art teacher, and you go to the Hukilau Cafe every Sunday, and you make Waffle Houses, and you like Casablanca lilies.
stalker!
No, don't you remember me a little?
How's my temporal lobe looking there, Doc?
Don't worry, you're not going to suffer any short-term memory loss. But was your head shaped like an egg before she hit you?
It also has a great story that almost seems like a reverse Groundhog Day, but while 50 First Dates isn't quite as deep or thought-provoking as Groundhog Day, it strikes a similar chord with its compelling premise that's funny, but also surprisingly heartfelt at times. Although if you've never liked any of Sandler's movies or his lowbrow sense of humor, then I doubt 50 First Dates will be the film that changes your mind. Nevertheless, the real icing on the cake is how well the movie utilizes its Hawaiian setting, and much like The Descendants, 50 First Dates focuses less on the touristy sections of the island and more on the scene-stealing beauty and natural serenity of the lush Hawaiian countryside that the production crew spent 6 weeks filming as the movie navigates through central Oahu's ever-reaching acres of pineapple fields up to the island's famous North Shore and all along the windward side. Sandler's veterinarian character works at an actual aquatic attraction called Sea Life Park, located on the southeastern corner of Oahu, just outside the community of Waimanalo. And while a few shots were filmed at Sea Life Park itself, all of the aquarium scenes involving trained animals were shot at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, California, where to this very day, the lovable walrus Jocko still resides.
Jocko, what does a teapot do when the water's ready?
Roughly 20 miles northwest of Sea Life Park in the small community of Waikane is where Drew Barrymore's character Lucy lives with her protective father, played by comedian Blake Clark, and her idiotic brother, played by Sean Astin.
That was beautiful.
That
Moron.
hurt.
Filmed at a privately owned beachside property, the Whitmore's house sits way off the main road and is inaccessible to the public. However, the estate's long-reaching Waikane Pier is clearly visible from a nearby beach, and not only did it get its own scene in 50 First Dates, but it was also seen in the TV series Lost, which did almost all of its filming on Oahu. Traveling a few more miles further north brings us to the famous Kualoa Ranch, a Hollywood favorite when filming on Oahu, and it's easy to see why with its breathtaking array of exotic, awe-inspiring land masses and an almost eerie calmness. One of Hawaii's most historically significant tourist attractions, this 4,000-acre family-owned beef cattle ranch was originally established in 1850 when 622 acres of this land were purchased by Dr. Garrett P. Judd, an American missionary who moved to Hawaii from New York and became a close, trusted advisor to King Kamehameha III. Over the years, Dr. Judd and his son Charles purchased the rest of the land, totaling to the 4,000 acres that to this day are owned by the Morgan family, Dr. Judd's direct descendants. This massive property was once considered by the ancient Polynesians to be some of the most sacred land on Oahu, and the Morgan family has retained ownership of it to proudly preserve its cultural significance to Hawaii's legacy. But even ranch president John Morgan admits that in order for his family to maintain such a large parcel of land, a thriving business is crucial. So on top of being a successful cattle ranch, Kualoa offers its visitors countless outdoor recreational activities, guided nature tours, event hosting, and even a gift shop with a cafeteria. Not to mention the wide variety of TV and movie projects that have filmed here. The majority of filming on the Kualoa property usually takes place down in the Ka'aava Valley, a large, hilly tract of land sandwiched between two monumental mountain ridges. In this funny little montage from 50 First Dates, Henry Roth is still trying to get a handle on Lucy's amnesia, so he makes a series of daily attempts to woo her that work some days, but other days, not so much.
Here she comes, smile. Where is she? Uh-oh. Oh my God. Oh! Okay, that didn't work. Shit your pants? So did I.
Every day Lucy travels along this dirt road, which just so happens to cut right through the Ka'aava Valley, so obviously the road isn't meant for public driving in real life. However, it is used daily by the Kualoa staff as a convenient pathway for their guided bus tours. 125 acres of the Kualoa Ranch are occupied by the peaceful Moli'i Fish Pond, an 800-year-old closed-off body of water that's separated from the ocean by an expansive 4,000-foot wall that was constructed centuries ago by what many believe to be an ancient forest-dwelling people known as the Menehune, who, according to Hawaiian legend, lived in the islands long before the arrival of the earliest Polynesian settlers and built many mysterious, archaic structures that still stand to this very day. Rumor has it that in one single night, the Menehune constructed the impressive Moli'i Fish Pond wall by stacking large lava rocks together and filling in the gaps with coral and small pebbles. Constructed into the wall were tiny sluice gates, which allow small fish to swim into the pond and live there. Eventually, the fish outgrow the size of the gates and are now trapped within the pond, but they would continue to breed, thus making themselves readily available for harvesting. Needless to say, the engineering and functionality of the wall was light years ahead of its time, and even today, this well-preserved pond continues to operate as an ideal place for fishing and for filming, including key scenes from 50 First Dates that take place at a local beachside diner, which doesn't actually exist. The production crew reserved a small patch of land right near the shore of the fish pond and constructed from scratch a full restaurant-sized building for exterior shots. Later, the interior scenes of the restaurant were filmed on a soundstage in Hollywood, which included a large photo mural recreation of the scenic Moli'i Fish Pond backdrop.
I don't feel bad for you. I know you got a little romantic thing going on with Candace.
So, that was 50 First Dates, a movie that's equal parts funny, charming, and beautifully shot, making it easily one of Adam Sandler's best films of the past decade. But this wasn't the first time an Adam Sandler vehicle was filmed here on Oahu.
So here we go.